Hey everyone, Pagosi coming to you live once again. And this is Late Night with Pagosi, movie reviews. And you can check me out every Thursday night on Pod Squad Network, 7 p.m. Well, right now we're doing a little bit of a clip for my channel as well as the Pod Squad channel. And what I'm going to do today is a little review of the movie called Leave the World Behind. Um, and before I get started, I'm going to say this is not going to be political or biased or conspiracy theory driven. We're going to do a straight up just movie review of what I really thought as a moviegoer and movie lover. So let's get started. First of all, let me start off by saying that I thought that Julia Roberts was amazing. And I'm going to tell you why. It's not just because she's like a famous actress, because Ethan Hawke is also famous, but I didn't think he was that great. I thought he was kind of boring. I really liked her because she was funny since like the beginning. The way she says she, effing hates people, and she was just cursing and saying the F word all over the movie. She really made me laugh during those parts. So for me, it was like the comic relief. As like spooky and kind of intense that this movie was, I feel like her getting pissed off and saying bad words just kind of was like part of the comic relief. And there was other parts of the movie that were actually kind of funny, and I just I think it's kind of weird that nobody really talks about the comedy in this movie. Like when they like, how did they have so much alcohol at the house, and they're just like getting drunk and they're just like dancing and getting faded? And I'm like, they were really ready for the end of the world with all the alcohol they had up in that house. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, anyways, overall, I liked it. I mean, like I said, Julia Roberts was probably my favorite because she was really funny. I love the cursing. I felt like it was the comic relief. She did it at the right time. She didn't like overdo the F word. It was always at the right timing, and it was a good punchline. Um, I liked the character development, and the storyline was pretty cool. But, however, I think almost everyone was really boring except for Julia Roberts and a couple of the other characters. But like overall, it was a good story. Um, I like how they didn't overdo the chaos and the destruction because like the movie 2012, I felt was a little too crazy and too exaggerated because you were like, 10 minutes into the movie and everything was just being destroyed, and the whole time they're just trying to run away from the destruction, and like the whole world was like being destroyed, and it was just like too it was way too like exaggerated, too chaotic. It was a good action movie, 2012. I'm just kind of comparing it to this one because this is another so-called end of the world movie, you know. And usually they're a disappointment. I didn't really like Armageddon. I didn't like 2012. I never saw End of Days. But usually these kind of movies suck. They're just not that great. I guess you could throw Terminator 2 Judgment Day in there. But I mean, Terminator 2 Judgment Day was actually really good. So if you want to talk about an end of the world movie, that movie was actually uh, that was pretty awesome. But anyways, back to this movie. I like the way they did like give each character like a little bit of development. Like they actually told their backstory. And one thing that I did like about the movie is, despite it being kind of like scary and depressing, they had some positivity. For example, at first, the people that met, at the house, they didn't like each other or trust each other. But by the middle and the end of it, they ended up becoming really good friends. They ended up drinking alcohol together, being uh, bonding. You know what I'm saying? Just vibing with each other. So I feel that there was a bright side to the story. Like it showed that even if at the beginning you don't get along with someone, um, you could still become friends and become a force of unity. So that's what I took away from it. If I look at it from the bright side, they did have some crazy parts in the movie with a lot of action. They were kind of scary and spooky, but I felt like they didn't overdo it with like the scary stuff. I feel like they kept it to a minimum. And like they didn't even show like what was going on in other parts of the world or the city. They just kind of insinuated that, wow, it must be going down in the big city because they were, on the outskirts away from everything. So Yeah, I like that. That was, and that's another thing. This movie had like a unique style of recording, a unique style of producing, and the way that they didn't show everything. They just kind of showed what was going on in the characters' lives. It didn't like show you like what was going on in New York City and the chaos that might have been happening or in other parts of the country. It just showed where they were in their little world. So I kind of like the way it stuck to that and didn't like go to too many places. Cause you know how movies, they'll show another part of the world, another city, and it jumps to this and that. This was kind of cool that they just stuck to the house and where the characters were, uh, where they were at, or if they went on and ventured out by themselves, it kind of concentrated on their story. So I like that. It was pretty unique for a movie. And as I said, this movie's not like the craziest or scariest. It's not on the level of like even Armageddon or 2012 that were very exaggerated, just crazy movies. This one, I mean, I think this movie is a little exaggerated because I don't think so many things could go wrong at once. Maybe one thing could or the other, but I don't think so many at once. That's just a little crazy. But of course, it had to be entertaining. They couldn't just say, "Oh, well, the Wi-Fi's out," but everything else is cool. So like they had to make it somewhat scary and entertaining. But overall, yeah, it wasn't a bad movie. It was better than what I thought it was gonna be, and that's because I went into it with an open mind. I try not to go in it politically biased or thinking too much about conspiracy or negative thinking. I just thought, let's watch this movie as a movie, as if I just wasn't, thinking about anything else. Kind of like when I was a little kid and I went to go see Armageddon. I wasn't thinking, wow, is this politically driven or is this fear mongering or something? No, I just watched the movie and I thought it sucked. But I mean, that's just me. I thought that movie was garbage. But and then they already wasted the name Armageddon. That could have been a really good movie. But anyways, I'm just rambling now. But overall, this was a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I thought the acting was pretty good. Julia Roberts was my favorite. I think it was good the way their story was original. The way they filmed it was original. They didn't go overboard with the chaos. There was some parts that were kind of crazy, but it didn't focus on that, or it wasn't so crazy where it's just a bunch of action with no story, which was usually what happens with these kind of like end of the world movies. Like I said, Armageddon was like that. 2012 was like that. I never saw End of Days, even though I have it on VHS, but I'll probably check that out just to compare it to these kind of movies. What's another end of the world movie I saw? Oh, I think the Omen. Oh, that was pretty good though. And then what was another one I saw? The Prophecy. Those were more kind of like religious and spiritual though. More like it's more like yeah, and then Warlock and all that. Those were more like yeah, more of like the fighting against the devil type thing. Same thing like Rosemary's Baby. So those are a different kind of like end of the world movie. It's more like the Antichrist type thing, and this movie is more, I guess, like they call it apocalyptic type movie. But yeah, anyways, now I'm getting into another rant. Anyways, it was a good movie. I give it 5 tubs of popcorn out of 5. Overall, I think it was not bad. And I think as long as you go into this movie not with political bias or thinking too much about conspiracy or thinking too much about who made it or why they made it, and you just enjoy it as a movie, it's a pretty good movie. It will entertain you. It kept me entertained the whole time. Um, I was kind of waiting for the crazy stuff to happen. Well, once it got crazy, it got pretty crazy. It got action packed, but they, like I said, they didn't overdo it, and they stuck to a good story and to the character development. And like I said, Julia Roberts will make you laugh with her cuss words. And I didn't want to give away too much of the movie in this review. But if you want to see a more in-depth review that we did on Pod Squad, where we really got into the scenes and into some theories, and as well as you know a little bit more spoilers, you can check that review out on the channel as well over there. But I'll probably be reviewing these movies solo in my own little style as well. But overall, I thought it was an enjoyable movie. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad as a lot of people said, and a lot of people mostly just said not to watch it just because of political reasons or political bias. And yeah, I don't like to do that with movies. If I'm going to watch a movie, I'm just going to watch it and I'm going to try to enjoy it. And if I think it sucks, I'll say it sucked because it just sucked. But the movie, it wasn't bad. It wasn't the worst. It wasn't the best. Um, I kind of like it a little bit more than 2012 though, because I feel like I said 2012 was just a bunch of action with not much real story or real message. It was just a bunch of chaos and destruction, and that was it. And the storyline was really stupid for why like everything went crazy. It was just kind of silly. This one at least like explains some things or some theories that could be possible or could have been possible. So it was a little bit more realistic, I'd say, than 2012. 2012 was just a bunch of crazy action, but it was a good movie, and John Cusack was good, and I'll probably review that one next. I got to see it again. It was actually entertaining for what it was, and in the end, I think movies should be fun and entertaining. And it is fun to get scared. Like I'm a big fan of horror, so if something is scary, I actually do enjoy the thrill of feeling scared for a little while and like feeling alive. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in to my first movie review here on the podcast. Like I said, check me out every Thursday night with the Pod Squad. And, you know, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be talking to you all real soon. And yeah, if you like, apocalyptic kind of spooky movies, end of the world type stuff, yeah, check out Leave the World Behind. Go in it with an open mind. Uh, sometimes we gotta leave the politics and the fear mongering and the conspiracy out of it and just go try to enjoy the movie without letting other people sway our opinions and just enjoy the movie for what it is, right? So, yeah, I enjoyed it. I think most people that just like movies in general would enjoy it. So, yeah, check it out. And all I got to say is thank you, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for the support. And we will keep rocking with you guys. And I hope everyone has a great, great night. Thank you.